Joel back with what we're calling the Technically Nerdy Podcast. Let me bring down that intro.
Bring it on.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit, and I even turned it off too. Hey, Sean.
Hi.
Listen. This is the episode of the second of the podcast.
Number two.
I laugh because I'm immature.
Same.
Hey, dude.
Hi. How are you?
So for the second episode of the podcast, we're just going to have a conversation here, but we're going to nerd out about some very specific things, which I'm kind of excited about.
You have not told me anything about what you're going to ask me.
I didn't even take notes.
Okay, well,
But
great.
listen. This is Sean Connelly, not Connery.
No.
He's with us still.
No, Sean Connery, would you pick a category?
I'll take Catch the Seaman for 800.
This is Sean Connelly, and he's been my editor for 3 years?
4.
4 years?
Started in 2016, man.
Oh, my goodness. It is 4 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Jeez. So originally, because Sean and I met each other through the Nerd Machine and Nerd HQ down at San Diego ComicCon.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one year, we had talked about the channel, and he had talked about how he knew how to edit videos, and we were going to give it a try. And the first video that Sean edited was the CR10 review.
Right.
Right?
Yep. The first work I did for you, though, well, I guess technically the first work was one of your channel intros, but the official, like in some sort of capacity of payment was Murph 2016.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Paying for that. Okay, for the intro, I remember I 3D printed Kirby Downey's Thorn.
Thorn, yep.
Right?
Destiny, yep.
You still have that?
I do.
Wow.
Displayed with my Destiny memorabilia.
You are a nerd.
Yeah.
Okay, so Murph 2017.
No,
2016. Okay.
Yeah. So we shot. I went down there, but I had to leave like the night of or whatever. Like I was only there for like Saturday, I think I was, and then I had.
That's right.
And then I kept going through to Disney, so I went down to Florida that at that time.
I remember that.
I went to Disney World. Yep. And then that summer, or like June or May or whenever that video came out, was the first like editing job that we did together.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, before we get into that, since Sean's on a microphone, on a boom, on a mic stand off table, mine is connected to the table, so I can't pound the table.
Can't do things.
So Sean can't do that either.
I know, but I kept doing it.
That's okay. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Whew. Okay.
So let's see. Murph was the first one. One of the things I remember, though, about the CR10 video, I remember that you attempted to label the parts of the machine.
I sure did.
And I remember you got some stuff wrong.
I did.
But that's okay, though, right?
Yeah,
it was your first time.
Yep. I was
probably
trying to go through and do it right, you know.
Probably one of my better performing videos. Do we know what the views are?
I don't even know. No, but I mean that I
Take
know.
a look.
That video though got me into 3D printing because I wasn't before. You know, going to Murph and experiencing that was pretty cool, but I still had no idea what was going on. People were showing me all these cool things they had printed. I was like, wow, this is really awesome. You know, like this maker thing, and I'm not a maker in any way, shape, or form. On top of that, so I didn't build things. I wasn't raised in a house where I was raised by my mom, who's not a builder, who's not a maker, and didn't have that kind of exposure growing up. So I didn't go through shop classes. I didn't go through any of that kind of stuff.
Sure,
to be exposed to the maker community in any way. So
I think you're discounting yourself too much because you are a student of film and photography, and you're able to shoot videos.
Yeah.
And no one who shoots videos goes out knowing that everything is going to go right. They have to they hack it when they get on set.
Correct.
Whether or not they have to make a new jig or they have to use tape and cardboard or
Sure.
So I mean, while you may not think of yourself in the prototypical way of what a digital fabrication person would be,
Right.
You've been a hacker.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in that regard, for sure. you have to be prepared for literally anything on a set.
Yeah.
Because everything can go wrong. So
Absolutely.
In that regard, yes. And then
Okay.
I've slowly being a part of your channel has kind of gotten me into that space. Like I never would have made my own table at one point for a set.
That's true.
That we had to fix because it was so bad. But
But
I
I understand why you made the choices you did at the time.
Right.
And then I showed you what we were doing to fix it, and you understand why I made the choices to do what I did, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This is all just a path of learning.
Correct. I mean, and that's what, that's why I appreciate YouTube channels like yours, like Bob's, that I like to make stuff so much, is because, we get to see you fail when you do. Right.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So
showing failures is super important.
It is. So it makes me feel like, okay, they are also still learning. So it's okay if I'm also still learning. Right.
Which is great. And that's exactly what we need to get out there. Right. I think that's the important message that we show people is that perfection is never achieved, and there's always a lesson to be learned.
Right.
Well, and honestly, I mean, I'm looking at this, the CR10 review video, 883,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah. Good job, dude. Wow.
Nice.
That's not bad.
It's a popular machine.
It is a popular machine. And honestly, from that machine, you needed some help in labeling the correct parts of the machine.
Yes.
But now though, so you're visiting now because you live back in Michigan, and you're able to visit for a week or so at a time each month, or we try to get out here to film some really cool projects when you're in town. Obviously stuff that would be a lot more difficult for me to film by myself. But the other day you just had a wild hair and you said, I'm going to print what?
The Dragon Zord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back from the 90s, which, people who know me know I'm a fan of that.
Right. So let's talk about Power Rangers a little bit.
Oh boy.
Because I want to know where this started, and then we're going to get into this print that you did just on a whim.
Okay.
So do you remember as a kid when it all started?
Yeah, I remember watching, I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was going to be a thing. Kids, it was 1993, right? So you didn't have the internet saying, hey, check out this new thing that's going to be coming on. So one random Saturday morning I was watching, Fox Kids is what it was on.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was just on. It was the crazy space scene that was clearly not filmed. It was bad. That was, it was Japanese footage, and I didn't know that at the time either, but but I loved it, so it was obviously a huge craze back in the 90s. I was 93. I was 7. So that was the perfect.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was the perfect time for me to be into Power Rangers.
Right.
So I was already huge into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time. So that's why they called it Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because they wanted to kind of play off the
forward.
The forward title there. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I guess that makes kind of sense though.
Mm-hmm. So, and it just took off from there. So I fell off for a while. I didn't watch it because obviously as you grow up, that it's super cheesy. It's super awful.
You're too old and mature for that.
And I was like, no,
I'm
not watching that. Yeah.
14,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
I'm too old for this, Mom.
Yeah. By the time it hit 2000, so within, no, not even 1998, I think I was done with it. But the, obviously the nostalgia kicked in, right? So now that's why I go back and I'll just put it on in the background or whatever if I'm doing something, or that's why I collect the toys or print the things that I print or whatever. So it's just it's a nostalgia thing. Plus, what really kicked it off for me to get back into it was the comic book series, because the comic book series now is it's written for people who have grown up since the 90s, because it features the characters from the 90s but set in present day.
So is it gritty, or is it more adult themed?
It's more. There's more adult themes. People die in it as opposed to they didn't really die in the show, and
they just somersaulted to the ground.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there are more adult things happen. There are still some kid hijinks here and there because they want to pay homage to that. But the stories are way better than they were back in this show.
Okay.
So it's not just that it's more gritty. It's just that the stories are coherent, make sense, and are cool. They're interesting. They're cool sci-fi stories.
So could a production company in the future, could they adapt comic book stories from Power Rangers and actually show a current day scenario?
Probably going to do that.
You think so?
Yeah. So, well, as I said earlier, the show basically just steals the action sequences from the Japanese shows.
Yeah.
The Super Sentai series.
The what series?
Super Sentai.
What does that mean?
It's basically like superhero. Super Sentai.
Oh, okay.
But they're very specific kind. So the Sentai has the giant robots and all that kind of stuff. Anyway,
of course.
Hasbro recently purchased the rights to Power Rangers in the States back in 2017, something like that.
From Bandai?
Saban. So
Saban.
Yeah,
Okay.
Saban Entertainment. So Power Rangers bounced around. It was Saban, then it was Disney, then it was back to Saban, and now it's Hasbro.
Okay.
So Hasbro's first series that they ever produced was Beast Morphers. They have a new one coming out, Dino Fury, but they have completely cut off the Sentai series now.
Okay.
So the Dino Fury is the last one that's going to use Sentai footage.
Oh, and then they're responsible for making their own.
Correct. And then after they announced that, the guy who is now directing, and I don't know his name off the top of my head, the new guy who is directing the movie is also going to be directing the TV shows, as in plural. So they're going to do multiple things.
Oh.
And they talked about doing an animated series that is more for adults, and then still keeping the kids' TV show as well. But it's all going to be like spearheaded by one guy who's going to connect the story. So the movie is going to connect to the animated series and the show.
Oh, so there's going to, like we have a Marvel Cinematic Universe, we have a DC Universe, we're going to have a Power Rangers universe.
Yep. And they talked about the movie being set present day, but a Ranger team from present day gets sent back to the 90s for some reason, like they're lost in time or whatever, and have to get back.
Okay.
Where they run into the original Ranger team.
I see.
Yeah.
Wow. Who's your favorite Ranger?
The original Blue Ranger is going to be my favorite. Billy Cranston. He is the nerd of the group. So, yeah. He was the one who had the Triceratops Zord. Not my favorite Zord, but he was my favorite character.
A Zord is?
The Zord is the thing that they summon, the big giant robot that they get into. Each Ranger has their own, and then they combine to make the Megazord.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So what is this Dragon Zord you spoke of?
It's the Green Ranger's Zord, his personal Zord, for the original Green Ranger from the original series. So,
okay, and what is special about a Dragon Zord?
Well,
it's a legit question.
Yeah,
like I'm new into this universe.
So,
so
there's really nothing special about. I mean, it was cool because it could fight its own battle. So in the original Rangers, like they all had their original Dino Zords, which were the Triceratops, Saber-toothed Tiger, which isn't a dinosaur, Mastodon, which isn't a dinosaur, Pterodactyl, and Tyrannosaurus.
Okay, so 3 dinosaurs.
Yes, three out. Yeah, but prehistoric things, right?
Oh, right.
And then Dragon, which is not a real thing, but those 5 original would combine to make Megazord. That was really the only way they could fight anything. Was together because individually they really couldn't. But the Dragon Zord could fight its own battles on its own and like defeat things on its own. So it was kind of like the most powerful of the single Zords. And then it would also combine with the others to make the Mega Dragon Zord or the Ultra Zord, depending on which version. So
okay.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like the coolest of the original series.
Sure. It takes a lot to get invested into this, I think. There's a lot of history that one would have to catch up on.
There is. There's actually a really good, if you want to know, if anyone does want to know more about the series, there was, Netflix has their show, Toys That Made Me.
That's a great series.
It's a great series. They go real in depth on Sentai, Power Rangers, and like the toys and stuff, but also like the history of the series. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Wow.
Yeah. So
well, listen, knowing 3D printing, just like you said, being able to make is the nostalgia kicks in, and you're able to use digital fabrication to make things.
Right.
So then you made a thing while you're here, right? And this is a huge thing. It's how many pieces is it?
It's over 100 pieces. Like easily. I don't know how many it was off the top of my head. I know the model is done by Toymaker 3D. He does a lot of like cool posable figures. It's not just Power Ranger stuff. It's Transformers. Basically, if it's a giant robot, he makes it. But
sounds like a good dude.
But not only is it like a cool model, because you can go find Megazord, Dragon Zord, whatever models, and it's like 3 or 4 pieces, and you put it together.
Okay. And
then it's just a thing. This is a legit toy. It's
articulated.
It's completely articulating. Like even the fingers, like everything's articulated. So that he's super skilled in that. But I've got his I forget what they're called, but it's like not a Megazord or something. Like he's trying to not name the thing, but name the thing.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, it's just interesting because we talked about the CR10 and having to need some help with labeling things. And now years later, like there's just a bunch of machines here in the studio and you're able to power up each individual machine, get it loaded with the right filament, and you had to troubleshoot certain things. And so that's great.
Yeah, I've come a long way in the printing realm. I mean, editing each one of your videos for the last 4 years has definitely helped. I mean, I learned quite a bit from doing just that. But then, you know, I've got a couple of the Creality CR10 line printers, a Prusa.
You took an E2, a Raise 3D E2 as
3D
well.
E2, and then now I'm getting into resin with, I have an Elegoo Mars, and then the Phenom L. So,
which is huge.
Right. Yeah. A lot of those I bought with my own money.
Good job.
So, but some of them were graciously provided by you. So thank you for that.
Well, I can't keep everything here.
Right.
Right. It's the Michigan site of 3D printing nerd.
Right.
That's really what it is.
Right. Yeah. So that's been a great help in learning and moving across the country with them twice, some of them, and having to get them back running and figuring out, okay, what's wrong with it now? Because, you know, I had to keep it together and it's in the back of a U-Haul and it's shaking and so so having to like redo things on the printer has also taught me a lot. And then putting together the original Prusa Mark III that I have helped a lot.
Oh, I bet. Putting it together really kind of teaches you about the machine and really it lends itself to being able to troubleshoot problems.
Yep.
When something goes wrong.
Or not necessarily, maybe not. So maybe I didn't know what the problem was, but someone said, if I posted in a forum, hey, this is what your issue is, I know where that is on the machine because I put it together. So now I know how to adjust it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, that's all part of learning.
Yep.
Well, shoot. In the process of learning though, you've edited 100, 200, I mean, hundreds of videos, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. Do you have any that stand out as being your favorite?
Of the stuff that I've done for you?
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know if I have a favorite one. Honestly, my favorite things to do with you are streams.
Okay.
But gosh, I don't know any of, I think my favorite one to do was unfortunately the one that didn't do too well, which was the helmet, Maleficent helmet.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, it's over there. Just because I think like we had just a great experience. Like we actually got to be on a set. We actually got to work with talent. And it wasn't people like we interview great people on this channel. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, working with Shannon was incredible.
Well, it was someone we didn't know originally. Like we arrived on set.
We didn't know her, but she was professional in every way. We didn't have to tell her what to do in front of the camera. She just knew it. Like when Gary was taking pictures of her, like he didn't have to direct her in any way, shape, or form. She was just with the looks. She was perfect, right? So, like having that kind of experience where everything just came together and it worked well. The story that we told throughout was great because of David's producing. Mm-hmm. Like it was just the way a shoot should go.
Well, it felt like it felt like a well shot TV show,
right?
Is what it felt like. I remember when we were filming that, and I was like, "This is kind of fun."
Yeah, so I think that was my favorite like project that we've done together.
Okay. Not the Taco Bell sauce packets.
No, I knew that's where your mind would go when I said the video didn't do well, but no, that's no. That was a lot of fun. That was a ton of fun to film.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, that was a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
I hope we get to do more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, me too.
Do you mind in studio shooting? Like, does this become a monotony sort of thing? Or could you do a job that is nothing but in studio filming and that's your job? Or
as long as it was content that I cared about. If it was like, I couldn't just do like local news in the studio over and over and over again. I care about local news, but like that would get monotonous.
That would grind away at your soul.
Yeah, exactly. If I was doing something like this, no, this doesn't at all grind away at my soul because we're doing cool stuff. Like we're working with cool things. Mm-hmm. So as long as it was something like that, then sure. Filming is probably one of my favorite things to do in this industry, just because it's always different. Even when we're doing, stuff in here, it's just pans and tilts and making sure, I get things in focus and stuff. But there's always something cool we can do that's different You know, whether it's putting a thing on a slider, or if it's doing something with lighting, or if it's doing, there's different things we can do to kind of spice things up. There's different angles. There's different ways we can showcase things. Well, whatever. You
know, if we think about it too, there are times when we're filming something and it's going to be the first time it's ever been seen.
Right.
Which I think has some interest there. Mm-hmm. Just being able to showcase something new to people.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Anytime we get a chance to do that is great. I mean, just the thing that's cool about this, just being a part of this world, a part of your channel, is that we get, I mean, people get to see what, you know, people get to be inspired. People get to be, they come for help. They come to find out information that, you know, about a printer that they're thinking about buying, or, you know, I don't know. It's cool that we get to inspire people to make things that didn't exist before. So it's cool. I love that. I love that because that's one of the reasons I got into video editing in the first place, is because I got to make things that did not exist before. And I got to bring my vision or my unique angle to that thing.
What videos did you do before? So what was before 3D Printing Nerd Channel stuff? I mean, obviously you're full time here, but I remember when I picked you up, it was it Rusted Rooster?
Yeah, that was the name of the company that I was working for before.
Okay.
They were mostly a hunting kind of oriented thing. So the guys that owned that company were on a TV show, a bunch of different TV shows on like the Travel Channel and the Outdoor Channel and stuff like that. But I wasn't really a part of that team. I did do some work for those shows, but they also owned a different company that would then, all of the sponsors that they would get in that realm, they would then bring in to also double dip, right? So they would get sponsored with stuff, but then they would also create the ads and the social media marketing and all that stuff for those companies. So they would be getting, you know, paid in every sort of way you can get paid from those companies. So I would do stuff for like Winchester Ammunition, Browning, different bow companies. It was all that kind of stuff.
Did that help tell the story? I mean, I understand that you're creating the advertisement and you have the sponsorship for the show or whatever's being showcased. But did it make anything more cohesive?
No, it didn't. It really honestly didn't. So because the people who were making the ads weren't using the stuff. None of us were hunters. So
wait, it wasn't just you?
No. I mean, it was me. We had a bunch of different, not a bunch. We had 3 editors. We had one guy on 3D animation because he's super good at modeling.
No. Meaning it wasn't just you that
wasn't
a hunter.
No. Yeah. Anyone that was on the editing team, none of us hunted. The people that were doing the graphics, the logos, they didn't hunt. It was the only people that hunted were the people that used the equipment out in the field for the shows.
Okay.
They weren't the ones writing the scripts and the things for the ads. So.
Well, wait a minute. You learned 3D printing, I mean, through your own research, but also through editing the videos for the channel. So then did you learn a lot more about sportsman stuff and hunting and?
Sure. I mean, I did. I learned about the lingo. I learned about different things like that, but never like hunting didn't interest me in any way, shape, or form. Like I don't have anything.
You couldn't go field dress a deer right now.
No, I could not.
Okay.
I had to watch it one time in an edit, and I was just I couldn't like the entire time. So and I don't mind people that hunt like that. That's great.
Right.
I think that.
I understand.
I think it's a wonderful thing for you to do with family, with friends, whatever. You know, provide food for your family. That's great. I just don't want to do it. I will go to the store and buy my meat. That's what I will do.
Meat comes in nugget form or behind cellophane wrap.
Right. So, and I also don't know anything about guns. Like that's so, or the bows and the different arrow tips. Like I don't know nothing about any of that stuff. So I relied on the marketing and material from those companies that already existed to teach me about the things, so that I could better understand and label things, or come up with flavor texts or whatever it was. So,
okay,
yeah,
well, that's kind of an interesting way of going about it. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things you know a lot about, though, and this is what I'm really excited to talk about, is Chuck.
Yes, I do know a lot about Chuck.
Sean and I met through Nerd HQ and Nerd Machine. We were they worked with a nonprofit called Operation Smile, and Sean and I, and as many others, were volunteers for Operation Smile during the San Diego ComicCon Nerd HQ offsite.
Right.
And when exactly did we meet? Okay, so when Sydney asked Matt Smith if he was afraid of the Weeping Angels, we didn't know each other, but you were behind us.
Yeah, I was right behind you. So if the meme or whatever that exists of that, I'm in that, I'm like behind you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. But we didn't know each other at the time. I mean, we had probably seen each other volunteering or whatever, but we weren't, consistent friends or anything like that. So
did we meet that year?
Maybe. Do you know what year that was? Was that 2013 or 12?
That was 12. I think that was okay. Well, let's see. Sid's 14.
Which venue?
And she was
at?
6 at the time, so it was 8 years ago. So 2012.
2012. Okay. Yeah. So I had gone in 2011, and I was not a volunteer that first year. But 2012 was the first year that I volunteered. Was that the first year that you volunteered?
Yes. 2012, I think, was the first year that I did volunteer. That's right.
That was the year where they were like, "You're male, so we're going to select you," because they didn't have enough.
I remember that it was a bunch of women,
right?
Because the theory was that a larger percentage of them were there because they wanted to meet Zachary Levi. Right. Yeah. I mean, I did too. Seemed like a good dude, but I
mean, I wasn't not a fan of Zach, so of course that's that's part of the draw, right? But I mean, that's the reason that I signed up, but then everything else was the reason I stayed, right? That was the reason I come back every year, because helping Operation Smile was, like, God, I don't know how many times I would watch one of their videos or be in a panel at Nerd HQ and just start crying because of some story they were telling or whatever, or because Zach was crying, so I was crying. And then the people that we met, it was a family. It was family.
Absolutely. I'm still friends with many of those people.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's been years.
Right,
it's been years.
Again, the reason you go isn't the reason you stay. And that was 100% the case with that.
So 2012.
Yep.
Right? Okay. If that was your first year, what did you do as your volunteer duty?
First year, I was lines and panel room in my first year.
Really?
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was in panel room for sure the first year, and then it pretty much stayed that way for the most part until I was working for Nerd HQ. Kind of.
Oh, did you actually have a job?
Yeah, they paid me in 2014.
Wow.
2014? Yes, 2014.
A long time ago.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to remember. Yeah, so they paid me in 2014. And then I went, and then the next year I went back to not being paid because I was like, I want to have some fun too. So.
That's right. I remember that. My first gig in 2012 was the place where it was at. It had a bunch of big screen TVs.
Okay.
So there was a square in the middle of like the bar.
Oh, right.
And then there was big screen TVs up here where they had like Xbox activations.
Yes. Yep.
Right. And then down along the sides where people could gather. And then up above was where like the VIPs could go. And then you could go down this side route. Like it was like photos or booths or something.
Yeah.
And the merch was like right over here.
Yep.
My job in 2012, I had 2 of them. One was to stand up by the big screen TVs and walk back and forth and just make sure no shenanigans happened.
Okay. That makes sense.
And then the other thing that they had me do was that little hall, not a hallway, but like the underground the tables by the merch booth.
Yep.
I just had to walk back and forth to make sure that stayed clear.
I gotcha. I don't remember. I know I did gaming that year too.
Lucky.
Yeah. So, but I mean, gaming was easy. Like you just make sure people are, getting off the systems if they've been on there for too long, having a good time. That was it. Make sure people have a good time while they're playing games. Mention certain things from sponsors as well. Like check out the website when they were done, playing the game or whatever. That was.
Oh, I see.
That was it.
Continue the activation.
Right.
Man, and it's unfortunate that that ComicCon isn't. happening. I mean, it's always fun, but it's just unfortunate that Nerd HQ in that capacity isn't able to be done anymore down in San Diego, because that was a lot of fun.
It was.
A lot of people really looked forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, the last year was 2016, I think.
I think so.
And then it almost happened in 2018.
Well, there was one year where Zach was hosting the sci-fi outdoor thing.
Which was 2017.
That was, okay, and that's when he told people, let's go to the bar and just...
Right, and then 2018, they almost brought it back, and it fell through at the end.
Right, and that was the end.
Yeah, and that was the official, like, okay, we're done.
Man, those were good times, though.
Yep.
That was a bunch of fun. What was your favorite? Do you have any favorite memories from that?
Not all, but like my top memories from Nerd HQ came from the year that I worked.
Really?
And, yeah, and that was just because that was the year that I got to work the after parties.
Oh,
So I was Zach's personal drink guy. So whenever Zach needed a drink or Dave needed a drink at the party, I was the guy running to get the drinks. They would give me the card that I could go to the bar and get the drinks and then give them to Zach or whoever. And whoever was in his personal bubble.
so you were a waiter.
I was, yeah, basically that. So I worked,
But paid.
Yeah. I worked all day and then I got to be a waiter at night, which was, I'm not complaining at all. It was awesome. Right.
Those after parties were legit.
They were amazing. So that was the year that I met, Matt Smith, the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the cast of Game of Thrones, the cast of Once Upon a Time, like just Nathan Fillion, like just a ton of people, Community, just a ton of people. That was some of my favorites. So I was getting drinks for Zach, and somebody noticed that I was getting drinks for Zach. They noticed that I was going to this because there was long lines for drinks, because the after party, for at least for the celebrities, sometimes for just guests, the drinks are free.
I remember, yeah.
But this time they were not. They
Okay.
were not free, and there were long lines.
I see.
So I went to the side of the bar because I could, because I had the card that let me do that, and said, hey, I need these drinks, right? And so I got to cut the line and get the drinks for Zach. But a person noticed and then came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, can you get me, these drinks? And I'm like, no, I can't. Who the hell are you? Like, I can't, like, no, I'm not going to get you the, and then I realized, oh my God, it's Kit Harington. Where's Jon Snow? I didn't, cause he's so short and he was in like this like white sweater. And like, I was like, I just don't like, I didn't recognize him at all.
No way.
Yeah. It's Kit Harington. And I didn't recognize it was Kit Harington until the girl, the woman who plays Ygritte, who is who's not his now wife, like jumped on his back and just yelled at me to get them 2 gin and tonics. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then the guy who plays the Hound came up behind them as well. So I ended up buying, I didn't use the card, which is for Zach and Dave. And all them. I bought them like
You legit from your personal funds.
my personal money, bought them drinks so that they could,
How amazing is that, though?
it was pretty cool.
That's like the experience of Comic-Con, though. I remember, it was, who was it? It was, I forget who it was, but they were outside a pizza place, and Matt Smith was trying to.
It was Matt.
Was it?
It was, it was Matt and I forget, but it was Matt. Yeah, he had a pizza box.
Yeah. And Matt Smith came by and just said, "Can I have a slice?" And
Yeah.
they're like, "Sure, you can."
Yeah, that same night. that was that year.
Oh,
That was
okay.
that year. That same night, the girl that I was working, she was another studio.
The girl you were working
with that night.
Okay.
Working with that night. God, what was the name of the production company that put that on?
Nerd Machine?
No.
42? No. It
Studio
was
50. No.
It was Jeff's.
Jeff Press's
yeah.
company. I forget, but they're the ones who paid me.
Okay, good.
That's who I was technically working for. Anyway, the other staff member with me that night, big fan of Matt Smith, right? I mean, who isn't? But big fan of Matt Smith. So all night she's like, God, I just want to go up to him and like offer him a water or something. Just want to offer him a water. And Leanne was there. She's like, no, you can't just go up to the celebrities and talk to them. Like, be professional, whatever. And then finally, Leanne's like 2 hours later, Leanne caves and she's like, okay, fine, just go up to him. And I'll just offer him a water. So This was the night that Matt Smith was up at the bar and not moving because he was just taking shots. So she taps him on the shoulder and she says, "Here, Matt, I got you a water." And like this look of like nobody's home. Matt has left the building.
No.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. It was hilarious to watch. And like eventually he like realized what was happening, thanked her, and turned around and just started taking more shots. He was hammered.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't realize how much these celebrities drink until you're at one of these parties, man. Like
Well, especially when the alcohol is free.
Especially when it's free. Yeah. That night it was free for them. But
It's almost like those after parties is a bit of an equalizer. Like if you and I are normies, we'll go to a party, and if there's some free beverages, plenty of people are drinking, people are running around having a good time. The celebrities themselves at these after parties where it's just them. Like I remember I went to the after party.
Yep.
Did you go?
I couldn't. I had to go back because one of our friends was having a crisis.
Oh.
So I had to go back. I had to go console them.
So do you remember? Okay, so what's the show that was on CW that had a time traveling ship? Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow.
Okay, there's an old guy and a young guy that play a combined.
Yeah, Firestorm.
Okay, the young guy.
Yeah.
At the after party, I remember he had a little bit too much to drink. Yeah. And I remember the panel the next day, and he had sunglasses on, and he was a little quiet. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like I've done this before. Yep. You have a little bit more fame and power in the industry, and you do it too. We are brothers.
So that year, that 2014 was the year that Zach had just married Missy.
That was that year. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. So Missy and I were having a conversation separately. One of the backstage parts, and I was like, "Man, I cannot believe how much y'all are drinking right now." And I was just talking, with her or whatever, and like still functioning the next day. Like I cannot believe how Zach functions the next day at these, at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. panels, right? And she just talks to me and she says, "Oh, honey, we're professionals." So it's like, all right. Cheers.
Oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly, that sort of echoes what, at least what it used to be back when we could gather with a little bit more responsibility, like at the end of the East Coast Rep Rap Festival, or at the end of the Midwest Rep Rap Festival, or at Form Next, where you've got booths just
handing out.
You have these multi-million-dollar booths with amazing technology. All of the sudden, once it closes down, they hire a wait staff and a bartender, and you have a bunch of industry people dressed up in suit jackets and business attire, just having a great time.
Just getting hammered.
Just schmammered. Yep. And I remember when I saw it for the first time, I'm like, is this what this is all about? Is this?
All these trade shows.
It's just you work hard, you party harder, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I don't drink that much anymore because, like, if I would go to those and get hammered, then we have to work the next day. Like, I wouldn't want to. I just wouldn't want to get up. I wouldn't want to. Ooh, watch out for that show. I wouldn't want to be doing any of that.
No,
like it just seems awful. When I'm hungover,
I've never wanted to handle a camera intoxicated.
I've never wanted to handle a camera when hungover. Like that is just. There's too much going on up here when you're running a camera for the headache that is actually happening at the same time. So I don't typically feel sick. I just get massive headaches when I get on the next day. Yeah,
that's terrible.
Yeah,
those are debilitating.
Yeah, and I'll get one after like 2 drinks now. So,
really?
Yeah, it's bad.
You're not a professional.
No, I'm not. I was
going to be like, honey, you are not a professional.
Right, yeah.
Well, one of the things that's exciting about you being part of the team here is that we share a lot of the same nerdy passions, but at the same time, I think that we nerd out about different things.
We do.
And I think that's part of what makes the videos that are produced so good, is because I remember when you started doing more edits, you would add in little pop culture elements or 3 to 5 second little snippets from things.
Right.
And sometimes I remember I would have to be like, what is that from? But it fits perfect. What is that from?
Right. Yeah. And that's good. I mean, any chance, and I like doing that because I like seeing the people that acknowledge it in the comments. That we are brothers. We nerd out about the same thing, right? Anytime that you can find someone that nerds out about the same kind of stuff it's great. So that's one of the reasons that I do that. But also, I mean, it's kind of like my voice in the episode. So when I'm not here and I'm not being able to comment on things or whatever, it makes me feel like I'm a part of it as well. So
that makes sense.
Right.
Do you have an instance of something you've inserted into an episode that you were just like, that is perfect?
So my memory's not good, and asking me that is not a great question, but I can tell you there are a number of times where I will just crack myself up so much in an edit.
Really?
Or I have to stop and just like, oh man, that's too good. Like that. There are times when I definitely do that. It's, I could probably count them on two hands for the entire 4 years that I've been, where I've just like had to stop because I was physically laughing too much. But
that's
yeah,
amazing.
That does happen.
That's amazing. Yep. Well, listen, I mean, I know we're getting close to time. We have to think about getting you back to the airport. Of course, there's dinner and all that kind of stuff.
Food.
But listen, you've become a force within this industry in that I obviously you do edit videos for 3D Printing Nerd. I know that, but you've made friends here. Mm-hmm. You've done lots of great stuff in your own right with printing. I want to just take a moment and tell people what's up with you in the next, say, 12 months, and what's a way that they can find out more about what you're doing.
Okay. I mean, in the next 12 months, I don't plan on doing a whole lot too different with this.
Thank you.
Right. Right. I plan on still editing your videos. I plan on still coming out here as often as I can. We're talking about maybe I move back out here. We're talking about it.
Maybe.
So that would obviously be a big change again. But I am also going back to school full-time, full-time-ish. We'll see with how the credits and student aid shake out and all that. But for political science and public administration. So I'll be doing some potential career shifts down the line.
So eventually you might become a public servant.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
I want to help out wherever my local community is, and get involved in that way.
That's an admirable thing to nerd out about right there.
I do get pretty nerdy about it. So there's that. And then also you can find me a couple different ways. I do at least a monthly video on my Patreon where I do tutorials on what we've done or whatever. Or
Patreon.com/
Sean Connelly or Sean Connelly. I don't remember.
Okay. We'll add it to the description.
Yep. It'll be there. And then at the Sean Connelly on Twitter is where you can find me on the socials.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this. Well, listen,
thanks for chatting.
This was a bunch of fun.
It was.
I know we're going to get you to the airport, but I think it's about time we call it good and get some food in our bellies.
I like that.
All right. Well, thanks. This was what we call the Technically Nerdy Podcast. I'm Joel.
I'm Sean.
And we just had a lot of fun in 43 minutes, apparently. Good job, dude. Hey, listen, you all be well. See you next time.